one of the great things about a trilogy is being able to follow characters for more than one book. And I've been so glad to have a chance to write the Insignia characters and to also have readers really respond to them. Any scene Vic is in is just automatically becomes entertaining for me to write. Vortex saw Vic tested in a way when Blackburn challenged him about the influence that he was exerting on Tom. In some ways, Vic is a much more grounded character than Tom. In some ways, he is a lot more adult. Tom has something to prove, and Tom doesn't really have an idea of limits, whereas Vic is a lot more realistic. And I think Vortex was about Vic realizing as a friend he had responsibilities beyond just having fun with Tom. With regards to Wyatt, she, just like Tom, originated in another manuscript I wrote. The main character of the very first manuscript I wrote was this brilliant, maladjusted girl, and she was so much fun to write that I had her in the back of my head. Originally, there were two girl characters. One was named Brianna, who was this very brilliant girl, and one was named Nikki, who was this sort of maladjusted girl who had a crush on Tom. Neither character was really working for me. And so one thing that I did when I was sort of reconceiving of the idea of the story during a very early draft, I combined these two characters, their role in the story, and created Wyatt. And I dragged back the personality traits from that character I really loved in my old manuscript. One unfortunate side effect was Yuri had a bigger role originally in Insignia, and in giving Wyatt, the character, more to do, I kind of took over some of what Yuri originally did, so he's become more of a secondary character than a main character like Tom, Vic, and Wyatt. But I love Yuri as well. He's kind of a punchline. He's just good at everything, and I did meet someone in real life who was kind of like a real-life Yuri, and I sort of based Yuri on that idea. The last character who has a very big role in Insignia, I would say, is Blackburn. Now, Blackburn also was not in the original first draft of Insignia. I had a character named Reiserman instead. And Reiserman was a villain. He was an outright villain. Once Insignia sold, and I knew I was going to write 2 more books, then I gave some thought to my villains. I had Reiserman and I had Dalton. Dalton was not a good enough villain to carry a whole trilogy. I knew I needed a good, big, bad villain, and so I thought up Vengerov. The problem with Vengerov was he had many personality traits in common with Reiserman. So what I did was I got rid of Reiserman's character, and instead I created the idea of Blackburn. I really am glad that Blackburn is in the story and not Reiserman, because Blackburn just has much more depth. He is a villain to Tom in certain ways, but then he is also his greatest help in other ways. So thank you so much.